Oh my gosh.
Oh. Oh.
Oh wait, I don't know if that's. Oh.
No, this is good. And I do apologize, Easton, for my.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back right here to Hometown TCG. You guys know me. My name is Josh, and I am here with some special guests this week. Let's go ahead and get some introduction. On the far left, in the Hometown TCG jersey, you guys might know him. He might be familiar on the channel. Who are you?
Hi, I am Easton Douglas, also known as Tealwater.
And in the middle, the man who is the most relaxed human on YouTube right now, really soaking in the big weekend in the purple velvet felt robe. I don't know. It looks baller.
Yeah,
Who are
no,
you,
he
dude?
got that. I'm Chris Brummett, known as Dr. Atlas around the interwebs. This is attire that us refined Oldhims wear from time to time.
I was going to say us refined old men, but that just reminds me how old I also am, and it hurts my back a little bit when we talk about it.
Am I not refined, or you're just you still have yet to give me mine, Chris?
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Cool.
Wait, you're getting a robe too?
I either am or I'm not refined. So
That's what I meant. We're working on. We'll get there.
All right, well, if I don't get a robe in the mail, I'm going to be very upset. But you guys are here for one reason and one reason only. You took Ascent's Oldhim list to 2 top 8 finishes this last weekend. 1 at U.S. Nationals and 1 at the Calling at U.S. Nationals. How are you guys feeling after that performance?
awesome. Yeah, it feels great to get a couple top finishes for the team. I feel like we're starting to get a little bit more well-known in the scene. I know that the 2 finishes really meant a lot to me and Chris individually for different reasons. Yeah, I think we're just really excited, really motivated, and really looking forward to Worlds.
Yeah, for myself, I've been putting in a lot of the work and haven't really had the results to really break through. And every little breakthrough kind of allows that to become more commonplace. So hopefully there'll be many more to come.
Well, you guys earned it. And so, Easton, you have been on the channel before. The people have seen you from your Lexi deck tech, from your Icelander deck tech back when it was only young Icelander. But Chris, I got an opportunity to finally tweet about you this weekend, and because you haven't been a mainstay on the channel yet, I really wanted to make a "the doctor is in" joke because of your Discord handle, and I just couldn't. So now, just know I'm gonna make a million of them. But let's start with day 1. You guys both show up, and I know you guys both played in US Nationals and had the goal to try to top 8. Day 1, how'd your guys' day 1 go? How was the journey? How'd it start?
Mine started kind of rocky. So my draft went really well. First of all, I came into the weekend really hoping to force 5, but kind of expecting that I wasn't going to be able to, because at the Pro Tour, it's a lot of the best competition all around the world, and a lot of people who are trying to really draft their seat. I think at Nationals, you get a lot more people who are CC main players who are going into the draft and hearing from their friends that you should force Fi. So I was going to be open to drafting Fi if I was one of 4, but kind of expecting to draft Icelander, and that's exactly what I did. Actually, both drafts, I was one of 2 Icelanders, and the other Icelander was my round 1 opponent, so it was kind of like the perfect seat for both of them. But one of the funniest stories of the weekend, I feel, is I was drafting Icelander. I was one of 2. I knew I was one of 2, and yet I didn't see a single chess piece, the common chess piece that gives you Arcane Barrier over the weekend, or over the draft. But I knew after the draft that I was going to face the other Icelander, so I was like, oh no, clearly he has at least one of them, surely. And so when I sat down across from him, I was like, yeah, we're both the only Icelanders. My draft went pretty well. I think it was a good seed for it, but I didn't see a single one of the chess piece. Did you get both of them? And he was like, yeah, I got both of them. And I was like, okay, yeah, makes sense. He was like, yeah, I got the common and the legendary. And it shows me Alluvian Castellas. And yeah, the way I described that game was like, it's like playing chess, but I don't have my queen, and I'm not nearly good enough at Fab or chess to win without that piece. So yeah, I lost my first round. That was a bit tough. Benjamin Meffert got me. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. The rest of the day was pretty clear sailing. I went 6-0 from there, ending at 6-1. Couple of things I want to highlight. Played against Matt Garner in round 6, and he was actually on my Lexi deck from the deck tech. He made a couple very smart choices, putting Art of War back in, and that was a fun match, although it was a good matchup for me. Yeah, that's pretty much it. My round 3 in draft, I thought I was going to go 1-2 in draft because I was hand-locked against Fi. I had no arsenal and I was just blocking it out. And just like the power of Quell let me like steal one card at the perfect time, and I barely squeaked out that game. But like I feel like my tournament was almost over after the first draft, and then was able to come back. So that was my day 1. Very happy with 6-1 after that.
Dude, I mean, that's an insane journey from day 1. And just to hear kind of how your day started in that story. And then now that we get into Chris, your day started almost the exact opposite. Your draft went extremely well.
Yeah. I'm really comfortable in the draft format, and sort of my strategy going into it is just to read my seat. And I got a little refinement to that. You always sit down in alphabetical order, so we're always by the same people. And shout out to Peter Budesinek, who's always at my table. I just asked him how I'm curious to know how a lot of good players function in the first 6 picks of the draft. And I'm just trying to stay open and read signals. But sometimes if you're staying open and you pick 3 cards of the same class, you have this little kind of I guess you might want to stay in that class because you don't want to throw away your picks.
Sure.
But Peter just said, just pick the best card every time. And then once you get your signal, then jump into that class. And it's really just a little refinement of staying open that keeps you mentally open. And also if you're, if you're 2 cards in one card in another, you're not as much tied to that class, and maybe make better decisions without tunnel vision. Like, oh no, what if I jump and I don't have enough cards for this class at the end? So I really like that. That little tweak led to 3-0 on Icelander. Icelander is probably my favorite hero to draft right now. They passed me 3 sigils of permafrost, and the 5 opponents did not like me having 3 of those. So it's like, oh, you wanted a turn? I'm sorry. No.
It's a really effective way to time walk your opponent. But then, I mean, even though you guys are on the same list in CC, the second half of your day 1 took a turn.
Now, for this tournament, so flying out at 11 a.m. on Thursday, I decide at about 2 a.m. that I don't need to start packing. I need to build this Fi list, because I had a list that could beat Oldhim, and I had a list that could beat aggro.
This every time, every tournament, he's really pushing his luck with these things. He loves the last minute audibles, the last minute like reworking of a deck, or just throwing together a whole new deck, and it's so funny.
Yeah. So I did this until 4 a.m. and I came up with Frankenfi. Frankenfi was not nice to me. I played the same Ice Lexi that Easton played, but Fi doesn't want to play against Ice Lexi. That was my round 1 after 3-0 draft. Got stomped. Proceeded to go 0-4 on Fi, while Ian, another team member, ended up 4-0 at the same deck list. So I think there's something there. We just need to do a little refinement, because it's very powerful, but it was finicky and maybe not refined enough to take to nationals as Easton's Oldhim was.
Listen, my last experience in tournament play with Ascent was at a calling, and I picked up a deck list that morning from Rooks, shout out John Rooks, and played it. I built it the morning we showed up to the calling, and then played it an hour later. That was a mistake, and I can't believe you tried to pull that off at US Nationals. You've earned that purple robe, man. That is impressive.
Last year, me and Ian all audible to John's Briar list. I changed about 3 a.m., so it just wouldn't be right if I didn't audible, sometime in the morning hours to some aggro deck. So, yeah.
Well, hey, that is incredible. So I misspoke. You guys weren't on the same list on day 1, but then moving into day 2, you then enter the calling. Easton continues at US Nationals, and you both decide to play this Oldhim list. And to my understanding, Easton is the constructor, and you are the battle tester of this Oldhim list. Is that accurate?
Yeah, sounds accurate.
Yeah. We've been doing this for quite a few tournaments now. PT1, PT2, and now this Nationals, where I basically am just kind of like I identify what I think is the best choice, and I just kind of work at it. I'm really big about just getting as many reps as you possibly can. I don't want to answer lots of like new puzzles. I just want to like re-experience old ones at these tournaments. And so and then Chris enjoys being the sort of the devil's advocate, and he likes to stress test my decks, and it works out really, really great. I feel like I get the better end of this exchange because I get all the reps on the list that we end up playing. But Chris says that he gets more out of just playing the other side of it, which is valuable. But yeah, it's honestly, I've been telling Chris for a while now. It's such a great dynamic. He's such an amazing teammate. And yeah, really just thrilled to be kind of constantly working with him. Just an awesome person to kind of springboard ideas off of, and like I said, really stress test my decks. I think we both kind of crushed Dromai this weekend because he had been putting so much work into Dromai and built like the best Dromai list to beat mine, and I was like barely like 50-50 into that list. So it meant that any person who didn't present like that good, we both just really, really crushed over the weekend.
Yeah, I think I do get a lot out of always testing the devil's advocate point, because you really understand exactly what your opponent's trying to do, how to dismantle that plan. At times, their plan better than they do, and so I think sometimes I audible a little too late. Maybe 3 a.m. is a little too late, but
You don't say.
Also Oldhim was an audible that I hadn't tested up until the calling, which seemed to work out okay. So.
You give me tournament anxiety for tournaments I'm not at, man. That's impressive. That is really freaking cool. Let's get into this list. You guys have brought up this list, and you guys are on the same list. So hold on, let me pop the viewers over, and we have right in front of us the Ascent Oldhim list. Now, this is not secret tech anymore, as it is plastered all over flushandblood.com, fabtcg.com. It is all over the place. So let's go ahead and break this list down, both from the perspective of playing the list and constantly trying to beat it with any tech you can. First of all, starting with our equipment, looks pretty basic. Is this pretty much the loadout you expect to see with all Oldhims?
Not really. Honestly, mostly you see a lot more Stalagmite and Sledge of Anvilheim. Both are cards that we just completely omitted from this list. Stalagmite is like a decent tool in a couple matchups, but just not quite worth the slot. And then Stalagmite, Chris and I both sort of agree that it's just a very, very overrated card. It's very powerful as a fatigue tool if running something like the winner of the Battle Hardened Blitz event during New Jersey, the one that Mo and I both top 8'd. The winner of that beat both Mo and I with basically half their deck, like literally half their deck as defense reactions, all colors of Staunches and Turn Timbers and Earth Blues and whatnot. If you're building a deck like that, then Sledge can just like fatigue basically anything. If you're running a deck like the Oldhims that we're seeing in this current CC format, where you need to be able to put on a lot of aggression against decks like Dash and Dromai and Icelander, the deck's just like not built to sort of maximize your fatigue game plan. And Sledge is not like it's not a very like efficient. It's reasonably efficient in terms of its rate, but it's very clunky to work with. It always takes 2 cards or that card and the Tunic resource. And the power of just being able to pitch 1 blue to swing gives you so much flexibility. Rampart is in and of itself an incredible engine card, and the Guardian Mirror is all about just who can pitch stack better. And Rampart is such a great tool alongside Crown. It just complements it so well, and I think our record was we figured out it was like 10-2 over the weekend into Guardian Mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
We were just absolutely annihilating them. I had my Crown and Shield exposed to the elements on like turn 4 or 5 in one of my late matches in day 2 of Nationals, and I still ended up winning that game by dealing lethal and fatiguing him when I still had 10 life and 12 cards in my deck. So the list is really good. It has more 3 blocks than other Oldhim lists. And it's really leaning into a couple key features like Rouse and Zealous Beltings and just having enough poppers. Otherwise, a lot of the same things going on. But that's kind of in broad strokes what the deck's trying to do.
Yeah, I think the other side of that too is I lost my Crown and Shield in several matches very early on, day one of the calling, but we're still able to take advantages of the clunkiness of the other deck. One thing, we sided up to 68 or so, but along with 44 blues, we still run pretty smooth. And then the other decks are, when they don't have an arsenal or a tunic counter, you can really take advantage of the ice react. If they have one card left in hand, one resource after a zealous, you just ice react and they're like, oh, okay, my turn's over. So there's a lot of places where we take advantage of the clunkiness of the other deck, where even without the shield, we still have better hammer, I think, in the matchup. So
see, I love that take, and that reaffirms some of the stuff I said this week on the reaction phase. And that always makes me feel smart when you guys come in here and kind of reiterate the points that I make. So I'm a fan.
Take it back. I'd put Sledge in now that I know that you're agreeing with me.
All right. Well, Chris, welcome to the content, man. Glad you could be here. I don't know who this other guy is, but maybe we can get him out of here. But you guys talked about the fact that you had an impressive record against Guardian matchups. So between the two of you, I know, Chris, you played day 2, you played the calling on this list. Easton, you went the whole way on this Oldhim list. What was your guys' record into other Guardian lists?
Did I have it right? Was it 10-3? Is that what we said, or 10-2, or 10-2? I personally went 3-0. I didn't play against too many of them. I would have loved to play more. I just feel so confident in the Guardian Mirror. I feel like I sort of like know what's going on in the matchup, what things matter, whereas my opponent sort of waffles back and forth. One of the most important things that you learn playing Guardian, or that you should learn, is that no hand is too good to take a bunch of damage for. And so I basically, if I'm taking more than like 3 or 4 points of damage, like I better have just an incredible justification for it. And there's some games where maybe it's like the Pulverize, or it's the Rouse, or it's the Oaken Fuse, and my opponent just ends up taking 7-8 damage in order to like get these plays off, and they basically lose the game on the spot when they do that, because whatever it is, I just give them my whole hand, and then next turn it's very hard for Guardian to sort of go back to back runners. So next hand I give them 3 of my cards, and I arsenal card, and then the next hand I give them 2 of my cards, and then I buy myself a hammer swing in addition. And then the next hand, since they had to block or something, we're just like back at parity. And suddenly 3 turns pass and they're at -8 life, and maybe they only chipped for 2 or 3 in the turns where they had tempo. So tempo doesn't really matter very much in the Guardian Mirrors. You should be careful sort of porting over some of your knowledge in, let's say, for example, aggro mirrors when it comes to Guardian. But Chris and I have been jamming this kind of Guardian mirror back and forth, and he also knows the way I deck build for Oldhim, so we were both able to really enact that strategy and take advantage of a lot of Guardians who maybe just recently jumped on the deck now that it's really strong.
And see that
I asked Easton what the trick was for the mirror match, and that was his sort of knowledge to pass on. He's like, no hand is too good to block with, and that was like my mantra for the weekend. I think did not block with, and I think that really leveled up my Guardian play over the weekend. And the one time I didn't listen to that, it did in fact cost me the match. Even though I attacked for 17 on that turn, it was still a mistake. So
you got to be so disciplined. The thing is that with Crown and Shield and attacking with a hammer with your extra card, like you can still have that same hand that you really, really want to play. Just next cycle, just like wait, like you're looking at this hand and you're being attacked for 1 million, and you're like, I really want to play this. You can just block this first cycle with the cards you don't need, and then next cycle you get to see it all again, and get really rewarded for it.
So Chris, I was gonna say, it's got to be hard, kind of you played against this deck a ton. Your day one, maybe doesn't go as well as you want, so you jump in this event, you pick up this deck. If you don't have that discipline, if you don't have that chat with your teammate, there is a ton of what I would call traps in this deck where you're just like you said, I want to play these attacks. And let's go over some of those right now that you guys chose to include. And maybe we won't take too long. We'll touch on all of them. Starting with our reds, we have Glacial Footsteps and Oaken Old are always in the deck. Why are these the choices for, your red big hitters that are just always in the list?
Yeah, you know, there's not really any specific reason why they're always there. It just happens to be that every sideboard strategy, they're basically always hanging out in there. The other reds in the sideboard are more like they have very specific on-hit effects against very specific heroes, whereas Oakenold and Glacial Footsteps red, they're just like very, very powerful, very efficient, kind of like the deck's kind of built around them. They're kind of glue. A lot of matchups, Oakenold is just like an attack for 7 because you're not really going for second cycle. But then the matches where you are going for second cycle, it's the most important card. Yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy here. I mean, this deck is a lot of these Oldhim decks are like they're very similar. I wouldn't say those reds are where the deck is the most interesting. Probably like the blues, and then also some of like the reds in the sideboard.
So I can see where you're coming at with that, but Chris, you mentioned a turn where you wanted to attack for 1,000,000. Were either of those two cards, Oakenold or Glacial Footsteps, involved in that turn, or was it something out of the board?
So Glacial was involved, and one of our sideboard cards, Rouse. So you can 5-card hand, Rouse from Arsenal, reveal, and then cast Glacial. There's your 17. But if your opponent just blocks out and you draw a dud, then you just took. I think I took 6 damage to do it, and it still cost me the game because I kind of threw away a really good pitch stack that I had to try to do 17 damage. And then when I got to my pitch stack, I didn't have enough life to actually cast the fused Oaken.
Gosh, the discipline you have to have playing this deck is just insane. And I noticed that the blues you guys have chosen can kind of keep up with this theme, where whether it's first cycle, whether it's second cycle, whether it's on an opponent's off turn or whatever it might be, a lot of these blues can present a lot of damage and some relevant effects. Was there any kind of blue attacks that stood out as, kind of MVPs that you're actually swinging with that are getting there for good value?
I try to be really mindful about trying to pitch my Macho Grande blues and my Glacial Footstep blues. Try to block with some of the other blues more. That's not always true. In some matchups, you want the better on-hit blues. It's pretty marginal, but it's also very rewarding to just be really mindful of which ones you're pitching and which ones you're blocking with. The 6 for 8s, there's just a lot in Guardian, and they're so good. Like, if you consider that like at a baseline cards are worth 3, a 3 blue hand that deals 8 is just 1 lower than sort of like that bar you're trying to get to, and that's just really efficient for blues. I don't know why LSS decided to give us so many of these blue 8 powers. It's like more than necessary, but I'm all here for it. So yeah, it's really good. I guess of note, Terra Sunder is a card that we did shave on. In fact, we actually just added back in the 1 copy at the very end. That kind of has to do with the whole Dromai matchup thing. Into them, you really wanted to do a lot of like Rouse and Zealous Belting plays, but then you also needed them as poppers. And that matchup works where you just need a requisite number of poppers, and if you have it, then you're very favored, and if you don't, then you're not. And this is sort of the number we felt comfortable with while still maintaining our elemental count and whatnot. And so Terra Sunder just had to be shaved in that regard.
Okay, what about
call out Mulch as well? That's a blue you're not seeing as often in there. Kind of build your own CNC, and off a Tunic resource, it's a 2-card reveal and then keep your arsenal. It's a pretty good tempo play against Fi.
I love that. I love the fact that we saw Mulch, and a couple times during the Nationals cast, Mulch was brought up when it was in this deck, and it was a kind of heralded as a card you don't see as much as you maybe want to. But there's a notable exclude that I want to bring up with you guys that I thought would be in every Oldhim list, because as you guys know, I'm kind of the Oldhim hater. Like, I'm the resident Oldhim hater.
I had no idea. You never bring it up.
I hate playing against it. I hate the fact that you guys do so well on it. It crushes my soul a little bit every single time.
How conflicted were you? I've been meaning to ask you. I've been holding off asking you until this video. How conflicted were you that you had the best weekend in terms of performance from the team that you sponsor, and it just happened to be that it was with on the back of 2 Oldhim lists?
Chris, listen.
How does that make you feel?
I'm not talking to him anymore. I'm just going to talk directly to you. First, it might be because of your jovial personality. It might be because of that awesome robe, but I'm ignoring the guy in between us right now.
It's an honest question,
I love your guys' success. Almost to a fault. I always say when these events come up, imagine Ascent wins or gets into the top 8. I'm just going to be a menace. And if you follow me on Twitter at all, I'm an absolute menace when you guys do well. It's ridiculous. And the fact that I had to pump Oldhim all weekend and cheer for Oldhim on the stream did make me die a little bit on the inside. I considered building the deck and trying to get over my hatred, but I just don't think I can do it. And in fact, I asked Ascent Ian, Deadly Barracuda, for a different list because like I can't play Oldhim. I got to play something else. Give me a different list today. So I'm not on the train, and I died a little bit inside. But the card that is missing is there's no Brothers in Arms. I raged when they printed Oasis Respite and Brothers in Arms because Oldhim traditionally leaves the turn with 1 pitch floating. There's a pitch out there. And of course, LSS was like, well, we got to make Guardians slightly more efficient. Let's give them something to do with that 1 remaining resource. Why then 0 Brothers in Arms?
Just like an opportunity cost thing where, I mean, it's so difficult. You need Oak and Old demands both elements in your resource base. And then these power cards like Rouse and Zealous, and just having poppers against Dromai demands having a bunch of those high-powered blues. And Brothers in Arms is just neither of those things. I also think that the Oldhims that did the best were the ones who were built to have sort of like built with the aggressive side of the deck in mind first, and then the defensive side secondarily. That's just kind of the format we're in, and so it's just a bad format for Brothers in Arms. It's not due to lack of power level, it's just due to the demands of the format.
All right, well, hey, that's why you guys are what I am calling the top team in the game right now, if not one of the top teams. Hey, listen, I will go to the grave saying that I believe in you guys. You guys always perform awesomely. But I want to get Chris's take on something, because we've got viewers that are going to go out, they're going to build this deck, and they're going to take it out to their armies or whatever, and they're going to play it. As somebody who just kind of YOLO played this deck almost at the last minute, what advice do you have to someone who's just picking up the list and just going to get after it?
Well, I don't know how to start this, Josh, but I'm an Oldhim main.
Oh, I know you're an Oldhim main, but not necessarily on this list.
Yeah, I think that, don't cut your blues might be the thing that I would tell them the most. Easton was like, I was like, we could just shave that 1 blue. We don't need the Terror Sunder. It doesn't do much in this deck. He's like, no, 44 is the limit. We have to have 44 blues in the deck, and it just runs so smooth. And then when you're playing matchups, you don't get those clunkers that are all reds as often. That's how Guardians lose a big part of the time, when they draw that clunker all red hand. And the blues are just fine, 6 for 8. That's just fine value. So don't skimp on your blues, I think would be my advice for the people picking up this list and looking to make some changes that their preferences keep those blue counts high.
In this format in general, no matter what deck you're playing, whatever range you think is the acceptable blue range, just go to the top end. This format will continue to reward people who do not who are not too greedy with their blue count.
All right, well, hey, that's fantastic input, and I want to get kind of to the end of your guys' weekend as we wrap the video up here. You guys both made the top 8. Easton then fell to a dash list that looked like it was just out there to beat Oldhim. I'm familiar with that list. We had a local that used to play that kind of dash before, and I was on Dorinthia, and it was probably the most frustrating thing to play against, all those defense reactions while trying to play Dorinthia. It was not fun.
That was the worst pairing. It was so bad. And the other thing is that dash list just couldn't beat the rest of that side of the bracket. So basically, it was like that side of the bracket was whoever won that aggro mirror was just like in the finals because of that. I tried my best. You talked about the whole having too many reds in a hand. I ran 40 blues and 20 reds into that dash player, and I basically lost the game on turn 5, I believe, when I drew a 4 red hand. The commentators didn't really notice it. I watched the video back. They were really focusing on my pitch stack, because I had to pitch things just to get rid of some resources. But that was it. I drew a 4 red hand into a 3 red hand. And if I could do anything different, I would go back and I'd run just 41 or 42 blues in that matchup. it's just like you can't lose tempo, you can't lose that pressure. I'm not saying I would have won anyway, but yeah, really just blue hands and Guardian are so functional. All red hands are game losing.
So, I mean, it looks like, and that brought your weekend, it cut your weekend short. However, still an amazing, successful weekend. Congratulations on your huge run. And Chris, you yourself then jumped into the calling after, you know, a day one that you would like to redo, but you jumped into the calling, and then all of a sudden you end up in the calling top 8. You get abducted to a super secret location to play the top 8, I hear. I hear they brought you guys into the top secret zone to play the calling top 8, and then you make it through to the semifinals, and then it looks like your weekend was cut short against an Oldhim deck as well. Is that true?
Yeah, I heard that they pulled us in a VIP mostly because I was in the top 8, so they're like, "Oh, we've got to go to this room now."
Were you wearing the robe and drinking the whiskey?
You know, I leave this thing at home for tournaments. I don't bring a lot of luggage, so can't quite bring it with me. But maybe one day. Maybe one day. So yeah, I did. I ended up 11-1 going into the top 8 as second seed. Through, let's see, that was 7 Guardian matches leading up to that. One of the people I beat in the Swiss was Colin Kaiser, I think is maybe how you pronounce his name. That was the one that ultimately won the tournament and was my loss in the semifinals. I do have a good story that may have been my funnest pitch stack that I've had.
Ooh.
So leading up to the tournament, Teal or Easton showed us a picture of what he did to someone on Talishard. It was just dirty. It was like a pitch stacked. First, it was Channel Lake Frigid one turn, and then leading into the next turn of fused Oakenold double pummel off of Tunic Resource. So while
That's cyberbullying.
Yeah,
that is literally cyberbullying.
That shows good pitch stacking.
No, it's cyberbullying.
So being the student I am here, I get attacked with Oakenold by Colin in our Swiss match, and I'm sitting on Oakenold fused pummel and a blue in my hand. So I'm like, what am I gonna do about this? 'Cause I could block it with the pulse and my armor, but I'm like, no, I'm just gonna put this on the bottom for later. And so I pitch what is it, the pulse to activate shield. I Fate Foreseen, or no, sorry, Sink Below, putting the Oakenold under, and then I let him hit my hand, putting the pummel and the blue under. And so then from that point, I'm just like, I have to get to my pitch stack. That's because I'm so far behind at this point. Because I was like mid-20s when he hit me with this. I'm like, okay, I'm just blocking out till I hit this pitch stack. And when I got there, he swung with a hammer. I blocked for 2, went to 2 health, and then Oakenold fused pummel. Took his hand and then ended it with a glacial fused for the comeback from like 15-2 or something like that. And I was like walking away. That was probably my funnest moment of the tournament. I was like, oh my god, that was so fun. We play Oldhim.
You Guardian mains, man. You guys get to do some cool stuff from time to time. I gotta say, that is
a hell of a card.
We can agree on that. I like playing it in Briar, even though it's wrong, but I just enjoy that card. That card just makes me happy. I love playing that card. Before we get off the list, now you guys have some gold foils that you apparently want to open in this video. I didn't know this was a thing.
Can I quickly recap my my day 2 draft real fast?
Sure, go for it.
Just because it was pretty cool. So again, I draft Icelander, and again, I am a 1 of 2, and my round 1 opponent is the other Icelander, so directly across from them. It was Alexander 4, so a little intimidating, playing the wizard,
the wizard himself,
legend himself. But my draft was really cool because I got past a pick 3 or pick 4 Insidious Chill. And so once I saw that, I just started like really prioritizing the fuse threats instead of like the just like the ice ones, which I think are generally kind of better. Like Aether Hail Red is really, really good, but I was going for I forget what it is, 0 for 3 fuse card instead, like picking that over it just because it triggered Insidious Chill. And then pack 2, I open up another Insidious Chill, just a regular copy of it. So I have 2 Insidious Chills in my deck, and it was just nasty. I had like 18 blues, I had 16 ice, and I had like 15 fuse threats, all like in the 130 card deck. And I was able to take down Alexander Vor in the mirror. And then I actually lost to a Phi. It just draws didn't line up. But then against Andrew Rothermel, who's insane player, insane limited player, he actually has been farming me at these events. He top 16 both PTs. So even though he hasn't had that top 8, he's just very consistent, very strong, and he beat me in both of the PTs. But I was able to get there because I drew both Insidious Chills in my opening hand. I was scared because I knew he was on Dromai, and that's a tough matchup. But
Yeah.
I had both Insidious Chills, so on turn 1 I played one and I arsenaled the other, and then I played the other on his turn 1, and it was just, I mean, I don't need to tell you how the rest of the game went. It was
Yeah.
just insane. But that was a really fun draft. I never drafted a deck like that, and it was really exciting to like be doing something powerful, but also really unique. I hadn't had a draft like that before, so yeah, definitely worth recapping. It was a lot of fun.
Dude, that is freaking sweet. And what I was gonna say, I was gonna give you an opportunity to recap if you wanted to. I was gonna say, what do you guys want to tell the people out there about this deck, or about anything about your Nationals experience before we pop over to give you guys more of a full screen to do your opening?
I ran more defense reactions, like the 0 for 4 defense reactions. I had 2 Fate, 2 Oasis Respites, and 3 Sink Belows as like a package of 7 that were really lean into Guardian Mirrors, so I was still able to like use it maybe in one other card to block out a large threat and still come back to my turn with like 2 or 3 cards. That was just like, there was so much more flexibility to our list than other Guardian lists. Just like they're running staunches and sledges, and just like, you know, the hands played themselves more. I feel like there's a little bit more like flexibility in these cards. So I just wanted to highlight those because not only are they deceptively strong in comparison to staunch in things like the Guardian Mirror, they're just insane into these aggro decks. And so I was really happy to be running as many as I did. I would have ran up to 9, but just I've been saying for a while, I can make a lot of really good 85 card decks, but making an 80 card deck in this game right now is very difficult.
That's a pretty good catchphrase. I like that. Chris, what about you? What do you got to say to the people?
This was my first time to put down the staunches, and I didn't miss them. So I'm known to play Rainbow Staunch and be pretty happy about it. But yeah, I think the format's great right now. I wish I had more time to solve Dromai. Every Dromai that I played against or even looked over was doing something different than the other one. I'm really excited to see for Worlds kind of the creativity with Dromai. It's a really big card pool, and there's a lot of different themes you can build around. So as I'm seeing the meta develop, I think Dromai might have a little more place as these Rune Blades get kind of hated out of the meta. So I'm still looking at Dromai, but you know, if Easton just says, "Hey, my Oldhim deck's really good," I might listen to him next time.
Well, that is awesome, guys. Thank you guys so much for kind of going over the deck. And let's pop back because you guys have something special. I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know you guys were going to open gold foils on the stream today. So you'll have to hold it up to the camera like right in front of your face so we can see it, because I have you guys cropped pretty tight. So are you guys sure you want to do this? This is a big moment.
Yeah, I've never gotten a gold foil legendary. I've gotten some other ones, but yeah, I'm excited to open it. So
this is the only way I do it, even if it makes my teammates cringe sometimes. So yeah, it's going to be opened.
All right, well, let's do it. Who's going first?
Sure, I'll open my Chrono Seeds.
Wait, who's going first? Is it Chris or Easton?
It's Chris. Go for it. It's all you.
Okay, I'm going for Rampart. We don't need doubles here.
Yes. You guys have shared a gold foil before, so this would be nice it's nice that you each have your own. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
wait, I don't know if that's
No, this is good, and I do apologize, Easton, for my Crown of Seas.
No
nice!
Hey, let's go!
Wow, congrats, dude. That's awesome.
Crown of Seas. Is that has got to be one of the best gold foils you can pull right now.
Open your gold foils, kids.
The game.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'm scared.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Easton.
Oh, I'm doing it. Dude, that's awesome. Congrats.
So pretty.
Chris, I'm still blown away. Easton, you got to pull it up. Yeah, we can't see.
I got the Rampart.
So the two players that
you
top
gotta be kidding me.
What? Oh my! We like reverse called it.
Oh my gosh.
God. That's
No,
so
people are going to think this is
funny.
doctored. 100%. People are going to think this footage is doctored.
I'm gonna have a sip of whiskey to that one.
Oh my God.
That is awesome.
That's never gonna happen again.
That is absurd.
The look
Wow,
on
this
your
one's
guys'
actually
faces.
gold and not green. Crazy. Dude, the gold, the gold looks so good with the color of the rampart. It complements it so well. Wow, that's so cool.
I bet they'd complement each other on the same Oldhim build, but
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna have
bet
to talk about that.
we will. We'll have to take turns playing our sweet gold foils. Dang it! Well, I want to sell it, but it's a guardian card.
I don't like shiny
Yeah.
cards anymore, so yeah, maybe we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my
you-
God,
you guys
that's
are-
so. I
you
can't
guys are
believe
insane.
that.
I can't believe
can't
that you guys
believe
both
that.
just pulled. There's no way people are going to believe this footage. Well, Easton, all that comes to mind is the time when you were like not going to go to nationals. It just makes
Yeah.
me think. It makes me think of Clerks. I'm not even supposed to be here today, and now you have a gold foil freaking Rampart. Chris, you got a
Yeah.
gold foil Crown of Seeds. Huge congrats to both of you guys, and shout out to all of the Ascent squad. I've been saying it since the beginning. Not only the best players, the best people to play against. Mo said it in the pod. There's never been anyone that's played against you guys and been like upset about it, even when you wipe the floor with them. You guys are awesome people, so I'm so happy to work with you guys. Congratulations. You guys earned it. And then finally, is there anything you want to say to the fans that you guys have growing fan bases now, which is kind of cool. So say something to your fans. How do you guys want to end this? What do you got to say?
Well, to my fans, the two of you that are out there, keep on running a high blue count, and yeah, keep on supporting me. I do want to just kind of jump on what you were saying right there. I appreciate you bringing it up because my team was very supportive of me going out to this. I wasn't gonna go. I just came back from France, and they just lots of encouragement, lots of support from Josh, from Nick Bovo, who I want to highlight as well, and just
Yeah,
the whole
Bovo.
team in general. Ian, I always have to highlight as just being just like such an encouraging teammate, and everybody. I'm not gonna go through everybody, but you know who you are. Just awesome team. I've never had like a team like this, and it feels really good. It feels very heartwarming to be a part of it. So yeah, looking forward to how we're gonna continue to grow.
Yeah, and also a shout out to all the Colorado crew in general. It's always insane to have a whole group watching you. Even if they won't let Easton in the VIP room when he comes to watch the match. I heard the bouncer kicked him out. But to the fans, maybe I can repeat and have another performance so you get to see this beautiful robe one more time. Listen to Papadozio. It's good advice for everyone. So yeah, that's my sage advice that I have.
I love the sage advice. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Hold those gold foils up for everyone to see. Enjoy
I
that
can't believe
whiskey
that.
and robe.
That's funny that we switched
surreal.
our calls
That's
on it,
surreal.
but both were right.
Yeah.
Dude, that is
Wow,
awesome.
crazy.
Well, until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh.
Hey, I'm Easton. Find me on Twitter, Tealwater Fab.
Do you have a banner image yet?
I was kind of. No, I don't. I was thinking about it today, but yeah, I do not yet. Sorry, I'll work on that.
All right, well, that's
Chris
easy.
Brummett, Dr. Adelis here, and a little too old for all these new things, but I am on Discord under Dr. Adelis, so you can find me there.
No, man, Fab Twitter is where all of us boomers are. You got to join us. Join us
I'll
on Fab
think
Twitter.
about it. I've been
We're-
holding out for a long time.
I've
so.
been holding. I've just yeah. I've never had a community that I really just want to interact with more, and I want to start to expand outside of just Colorado. I want to interact with all of the awesome players in our community. So, yeah, it finally got me. I've been avoiding social media for years and years and years and years and years. So we'll see if it sticks, but I'm gonna try. So.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and support Ascent. You can find their Twitter. You can find Easton on Twitter. You can find Chris in a comfy robe on Discord. This is I am transfixed by the robe. I can't stop bringing it up. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next time. You guys freaking rock.